to use Xbox Era. Now you know how I feel about them. They're my friends. I love everyone over there. I've met both Jesse and John personally. I've never met Special Nick yet. I'm hoping that changes at some point. I know he's in Australia, so for him to get here, at least to get to LA, is super expensive. But I'm hoping to meet everybody there. I love the work that they do over there. I really do. John just tweeted that they revamped the website, and the website looks absolutely freaking dynamite. So you should definitely go check it out. But they did a story where it's titled Unfinished Business. And of course, they're talking about Machine Games and Wolfenstein. Now, according to the article's title, Machine Games talks Wolfenstein, and they go on to say and quote them as saying, "We've always seen this as a trilogy." And that makes perfect sense because obviously if you beat the second one, it's a cliffhanger, folks. A surprise. So there is another game coming. So I just want to read a couple of excerpts from the article, and I will post the article, which I think I've already done in the show notes if you want to click on it and read it yourself. It says, in case you've missed it, the awesome folks at NeoClip have released a new video series that covers the history and team at Machine Games. They are the developers of multiple entries into the world of the Wolfenstein series, and most recently, the fantastic Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. When Indy was announced as coming along before any potential direct sequels to Wolfenstein, the new Colossus, fans feared the series may be on the back burner. Well, thankfully, Machine Games Studios head Jerk Gustafsson has now given BJ Blazkowicz fans some hope. They go on to say, towards the end of the NeoClip episode, and they have a timestamp there if you want to just click right on it so you can get to hear what the studio head had to say. It says Machine Game Studio head Jerk Gustafsson had a little more to share on what's next for Wolfenstein. And he goes on to say this: that journey for BJ, even during those first few weeks at ID Software, when we mapped out New Order, we still had the plan for at least that character. What will happen in the second one will happen in the third one. And I think that's important to say that. At least I hope that we're not done with Wolfenstein yet. We have a story to tell. Jamie, I'm going to go right to you. You've talked about this not only on your podcast. We haven't really covered Wolfenstein 3 or the third game in what they're calling a trilogy because there hasn't been really a lot of information for us to cover it. But I do want to get your thoughts on the fact that, listen, they're talking about it. And if they're talking about it, that means that there is a really good chance that we're going to get the third game. The question, though, I think that a lot of people in the chat are going to have is when exactly are we going to get it? Because, listen, they had a game that they were working on that was canceled. We don't know what that game was. A lot of people thought it was Wolfenstein. Turns out that wasn't, in fact, the case. And thank goodness for that. But, Jamie, they are working on what we believe to be additional DLC for at least one more. At least that's the rumor. One more after the Order of Giants, which just released. I haven't played it yet. I heard it's absolutely phenomenal, but I'm very, very excited to get back to Indiana Jones. So if they have one more DLC after this, we have heard several times. I think I broke the story last year that they have been approved or granted a trilogy in this series, and that game is going to get 2 more additional games. When do they bring us the third game in the Wolfenstein trilogy? What are your thoughts, man?
I mean, if people haven't played it, it would technically actually be the 4th game because there was a prequel called Wolfenstein: The Old Blood.
Yes.
Where it's set in this massive castle. Hell of a game. But no, like I love those Wolfenstein games. Like they are one of my favorite developers. So when it was announced that they were making Indiana Jones, I lost my marbles because like those Wolfenstein games, crazy. You know, you can run down a corridor with dual sniper rifles and fire from the hip. and just like take people out. It's nonsense, but I love it. You know, we're basically more than likely going to get more Indiana Jones. And look, Indiana Jones is the first game published by Microsoft ever that I've ever given a 10. Like,
there you go.
That's how good they did that game. Absolutely perfect. But like machine games, like people have been wanting Wolfenstein for a long time. We've wanted a big third game for a while. The Youngblood wasn't received that well, but that had like these weird like live service co-op elements which people didn't like.
I didn't like it at all. I didn't even beat that game.
Yeah, it was not good. Let's pretend it doesn't exist. But like the main games, we want that story finished. For people that played the new Colossus, like the story was kind of pointing towards what was going to happen with some bad guy, and much like the original Wolfenstein, you're probably going to fight this bad guy in a mech. So like we need to see it happen. Now, do we know how big that studio is? Do we know how many people are working on Indiana Jones? We don't really know. But like, if you look at Microsoft as the studios, I 100% believe that they could work multiple big titles at the same time. Why not? Many of their other studios in the past, but the best thing now is that they have access to Microsoft's other studios, so they could have anyone basically help them. But given how good their games are, however long they take, I don't care. They're going to be good. Like, for people who haven't played the Wolfenstein games, just phenomenal, absolute fun. Which is funny because like when they were announced that they were going to do Indiana Jones, I was excited, and I already knew it was going to be first person. A lot of people like surprised that a machine games title was first person. But the funny thing about Indiana Jones is that isn't really a first person shooter. Much like Indiana Jones, you don't go around shooting people. Not really. You can go through that entire game without using a gun. So like even though they excel at first person shooter combat, they made a first person shooter that doesn't require shooting, and I love that. But yeah, machine games, I mean, we don't know much, but like them saying that gives me hope, because Wolfenstein, it deserves to be like at least one or two more games. Indiana Jones is going to be the big money maker for a long time to come, but they really need to finish the story.
I agree. I think that if you played the first two, they were phenomenal, incredible pieces in the series. The trilogy is necessary. You need the third game. The second one did end at a bit of a cliffhanger. Infinite Number, let's bring you in on this again. Maybe this isn't your bag. I'm not sure how big of a fan you are of the Wolfenstein series. It is violent. It is gory. It is everything you could want from an old 90s shooter brought into this generation with the amount of incredible graphics that it could be on display. Both games were stunning. Both games scored very well. A lot of people bought it. A lot of people played it. The question is, man, and I think Jamie's onto something. I think that this is a game that has to be made alongside Indiana Jones, because if I had a criticism for stuff that comes out of Bethesda Softworks as a publisher, is they develop one game at a time, and that game can take years to be made, and then they have another one. It's the problem that Bethesda has run into right now currently, where Starfield, right, we're still missing information. We talked about it yesterday on what the next DLC is going to be, when that's going to be discussed. We know that they're working on the Elder Scrolls 6, but we also know that they want to work on the Fallout 5 series. A Fallout 5, sequel to 4. It's, again, if I had criticism, it's that they make these big games, but it takes so many years. When do you think we're going to see the next Wolfenstein, if we see the next Wolfenstein in the trilogy?
Yeah, I think they are making it. I think that's, I never doubted that, honestly. And also, just to point out, the man we were just speaking of a while ago, Pete Hines, he came out some time back saying that they were already working on it. That was in 2018.
Yes, he did say that.
So, yeah. So if I had to guess, we could be looking literally at next year, if not the year after it, maybe. Or, to be honest, maybe it could be a launch title for next gen. You know what I mean? And I think When was the last update for the EdTech engine? Was that more recent?
Oh, I don't know.
I typically only pay attention to Unreal Engine's iterations, so somebody's going to have to help me out in the chat. But EdTech engine, by the way, gorgeous. If you look at the work that engine has done, from the new Colossus to what was the other one? New Order.
New Order.
Like the game, that engine, it puts in work like very clearly. It's a gorgeous one. So somebody said he probably canceled it before he left, Pete Hines. But he's like, oh, you thought you were going to just get rid of me? No, but following BJ Blazkowicz, excellent story. Love the series. I don't often talk about it enough, I suppose. I don't give it enough shine. I will eventually. But yeah, man, I've always expected a trilogy for this series right here. It only makes sense. I also do wonder what the naming convention will be, since the other one was New Order, the other one was New Colossus. What will the final one be?
That's a really good question.
I was going to say New World Order, but they already had New Order, so that probably won't be it. Yeah, I mean, and of course we talk about Indiana Jones, and we just had the DLC drop for that. So they have been busy, but I do believe maybe they could put a smaller team to do something like that while they're doing the work on the major title, which is Wolfenstein. So yeah, I feel like we could get that. If I had to guess, based off them working on it since 2018, it could be a launch title. And I say that also because we kind of see the roadmap also for Xbox already, and they don't really need it to drop next year. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a stacked year again for Xbox, right? And that's from first party and third party deals they get that go into Game Pass. So yeah, I'm feeling like it could be a launch title. If it's not a launch title, it'll be the last year of this current console. Oh, James Coffey says new era. I like that one.
I like that. That's
good. I like that.
I like that. Yes.
What's up, James? What's up, brother? Yeah, I can see that. That sounds pretty dope. And we see him last, and the sequel was set in the 60s in an alternate future America and such. And I love the creativity behind Machine Games, because like you listen to some of the creative teams behind it. That like the designers, for instance, Andres. Forgive me if I say your name wrong, and you're probably not listening to us, but Ogier Force, you along with Jerk. But by the way, who named him that? Like,
well, I mean, I just think it's the region of the world. It's not considered like, I don't even think. I mean, look, I don't know. Someone actually said they think he might be Swedish. And that makes sense. Gustafsson. He's probably Swedish or Norwegian or something. I just feel like if you call me Jerk, I guess over there it's probably fine. Jerk means God of son of Zeus or something over there. I don't know what it means. Son of Thor. Who knows?
I mean, over here, jerk means like knee jerk reaction, like a sudden reaction.
And the mother said, "Your father touched himself a lot." I don't know. No, let me stop.
Jesus.
But
boy, somebody should have beat that for saying, "Where's my beat button?"
I love their creativity, though, right? Like even their creative director, Jens Matthias, Mathies. I'm not sure how you say that name properly. Somebody said "jerk chicken" Thanos. They talk about
the music 72.
Like Mecha Hitler.
She says "jerk face."
Right. It took 8. So that how recent though King Webb was Jerk.
That was pretty recent. That was
fairly recent, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it won't be a new iteration anytime soon. Okay. So I was just wondering, but so I would almost imagine that it'll be one of the last years of this current gen, if not next gen at launch title. That's what I would say. But they talk about the inclusion of like Mecha Hitler, right, for the final one, and
I mean that makes sense. He was at the end boss of the original, right? So I mean, spoiler alert, folks. The game's on 30 years old, but yeah, you fight.
And who's the ultimate bad guy, right? When it comes to the these Nazi scum, it's Hitler, right? The big bad. So yeah, we get to get a chance to be like Captain America and punch him in the face. I'm all for it, Mecha Hitler or not. And then it's just a lot of creativity that they happen to put into their games, and it just solid balanced games when it comes to machine games, like top notch, right? So I expect great things from them. I'm really excited to see what they can come up with and what they come up with after the fact. There is the trouble though of the spinoff game. What was the name of the spinoff? The what was
with
the
the daughters?
Yeah, Youngblood.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was freaking awful.
And I've heard nothing but terrible things about it.
Yeah, it wasn't a good game. I'm sorry, it just really wasn't.
So the thing with that is that that's considered canon for this universe.
It is canon, unless they unless they try to flash you with the Men in Black thing and make you forget that game ever existed.
Right. So they have to balance it out through that. I think it's set like 50 years in the future or something, to the 80s, or I guess 20 years, I suppose, into the 80s. So I don't know how that works out, but we'll see. I'm like I said, I'm excited for it. Even to our, shout out to our unfortunately named brother Jerk, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can put out there with it. But yeah, like I said, I've always kind of thought this would happen, so this isn't surprising news for me, but it is good news to read.